collide. High road roaring every night. Spotlight on Spurs, feel the fight. Spotlight on Spurs, hearts ablaze through the cheers and cloudy days. From the lane to glory's flight. Spotlight on Spurs, shine so bright. Echoes rise when we take the field. This is passion, nothing concealed. Through the tackles, joy ignites. Spotlight on Spurs, burning lights. Feel the tempo, sweet and wild. London's warriors never mild. Every challenge we endure. Spotlight on Spurs, loud and pure.
Welcome back to some of you, hopefully, to Spotlight on Spurs. Guys, we have got loads of things to talk about. We have got Heung-min leaving, and James is smiling. We have also got the news of Morgan Gibbs-White, because we haven't spoke about him for a week. And obviously, Vuskovic is the best centre-back in the world after an unbelievable appearance in a friendly against a League One team. But we'll get into it a little bit more. Welcoming in Brian, who is second time on the channel, I think.
Indeed, Luke. My second time and delighted to be here, buddy.
Thanks for coming on, mate. How's
My
things
pleasure.
with you?
My pleasure.
How's things with you?
Things are good. Things are good, buddy. And getting to talk all things Tottenham. What are we? 38 days from a window closing, less than a month away from the season kicking off, and being back in the Scotland Yard. It's all good. It's all good. Things are good.
Good to hear. Good to hear. And making his debut on the channel, James, how are we doing, mate? Thank you very much for coming on.
No worries, mate. No worries. Yeah, I'm good, thank you. I'm good. How are you?
Not too bad. Not too bad. I could do with a signing or two. I can't lie. As I said, Morgan Gibbs-White. We're discussing him again. We're not going to go into it too much, but we will be discussing some of. There has been some sort of updates, but we're going to start where James is exceptionally happy. We're going to start with the news about Heung-min Son. We was just speaking about it backstage. It looks as though there is a possible move being touted around to the MLS. Back with his old mate Hugo Lloris, who famously had the massive row where he was they were calling each other out and bits and pieces on the pitch. What's your thoughts on potentially Son leaving the club, James?
So, first of all, I'd like to start because I know a lot of people dig me out for this, but I think Heung-min Son is a massive legend, and I think he's one of the best left wingers we've had at the club, period, like from me watching. But I'm also just a bit of a realist. I think his days at the top level are over. I thought they were over last season. I was saying it the season before. His numbers were good, but a lot of it was sort of like the tap-ins and the closed road. There wasn't any like beating man driving through. So personally, the main reason I'm happy is because what I said about Hugo Lloris. I would rather us have sold Hugo Lloris 2 seasons earlier and him go out a legend than stay 2 seasons more and he kind of almost went out a villain. And it's exactly the same for me for Son. There's no hate there. It's a more of let's get rid of him and him go out as a legend before he turned into the villain.
No, I completely agree. And I know you used him as an example, but there's plenty of other ones that we've just kept far too long. A lot of people would say Davies is still there and shouldn't be. Eric Dyer, just to name a few. So I completely understand where you're coming from. I think this has been a very big split between the fan base, loyalty between whether we should keep him, whether the 190 grand a week. Brian, where do you sit with it on the Son departure or possible Son departure?
I agree with James that it's probably right to sell him when we can and actually get some money for him. As heartbreaking as it sounds to say that from a financial point, I kind of think under Frank he could have been a different player than he was under Ange, and not playing so wide on the left, and we could have had one final swan song season for him. I really, truly believe that. But I'm one that has said recently we're not ruthless enough and don't get rid of players. We wait till they stagnate and and their value drops. And Heung-min Son, I've said it as well. Whatever Heung-min Son decides he wants to do, I support. If he turns around and says he wants to stay, I think personally he could have a good final season at Spurs, and I believe it would be because it'd be more central. But it does look like for staying and getting your trophy, being the legend that stayed the whole time, maybe now is the right time. Maybe now is the right time. And you know what? As much as it's going to upset people going, like James said, doesn't matter what you think about him, he is a legend. He will leave with everyone's appreciation, approval, with everyone wishing that. I don't think anyone would wish a guy well more than Heung-min Son. But then it comes into who the replacement is, because we would definitely need a replacement left winger. We would need a replacement standout player. I mean, when you talk about the standout player, Heung-min Son has done it for so many years. Big up job. It then becomes, our lack of transfers becomes even more apparent. But going to the MLS, I said it earlier, if he goes there, he'll go to a place. Obviously, he's got his friend in Hugo Lloris. There is a massive, massive, massive South Korean community. So he'll feel right. He's been away from home for so long. He'll feel very much at home with, like they have in Toronto here, where we have Koreatown, Chinatown, where it's very multicultural. He'll feel very, very at home. And maybe a bit of sunshine is what he needs. And chill and relax in the heat. And it will be a sad day for Spurs, but I think it now might be the right time.
Feels like it's all come to a head at the same time, doesn't it? Like the trophy, the age, the contract, the interest. It's almost like it's all kind of meeting, and it makes sense. I personally think that, and I think you just said it just now, I think Son should be allowed to make that decision in terms of, we say to him, do you want to stay or go? But then it's obviously down to Frank to decide whether or not that's a first team player, whether that's captain, whether that's just you're going to be on the bench. James, if he stayed around, would you be against that at all, or is it just
yeah, absolutely. And I completely disagree with the statement of, if he wants to stay around, then let him. The reason being, we're meant to act like a big club and do what's best for the club, but yeah, if somebody says I don't want to leave, no, you can stay then. Like, what happened to the winning mentality of trying to push that? Imagine if that happened to Man City. If City said, if De Bruyne said, "Nah, I'm going to stay," City like, "No, sorry, you're going." Oh, that's it. It's done. But I just think, but I just think.
Well, De Bruyne decided he wanted to leave. So
but I'm just saying, as a whole, somebody that's not good enough, if he says, "Oh, I want to stay," as a football club, you need to say, "Listen, you're an absolute legend. You're a hero here. You'll always be welcome here, but you've done your bit. You're not going to be in our first team anymore." And I'd like Frank to almost come out and say, "Look, like, the way I play, I don't believe you're going to suit the way I play. Thank you for everything that you've done for Tottenham. Now could you move on? Like, now go and enjoy the next chapter of your life." That's what I'd like us to see, rather than letting a player pick his future when it's Tottenham Hotspur's future. It doesn't make sense for me.
But you've offered him the contract. The contract's there. So I'm not saying offer him a new one. I'm saying he's got 1 year left, and if he says he wants to go, then we facilitate that one way or another. If not, he can decide to stay. But as I said, Frank then turns around and says, "That's fine if you're staying, but you are a bench player for me. You are a rotation player, whatever that may be." By giving him that contract and extending it, which is what we've done, we took the year extension. That meant that if he wants to stick around, there's nothing you can really do. You can't.
So. I get it. I get from that point of view, but I'd be a bit disappointed in him, to be honest, to say, "Yeah, I'm going to sit on the bench for the last year of my career." This is what I'm talking about, becoming the villain, because everyone would kind of be like, "Oh yeah, someone's rubbish the last few years." Like, where it would be like Son won Europa League trophy in his last year. There's a difference for me. Mm-hmm. So if he said, "I'm going to sit here and sit on the bench for the last season," I'd be quite disappointed with him, and I don't think he would do that.
James, there's a bigger thing at hand here as well. I say this with Sonny because of what Sonny has done. I wouldn't say this for every single player.
No, I agree.
This is Heung-min Son we're talking about, and like I said, I am saying with him playing in a different position, more centrally than he did under Ange Postecoglou, where I think you'll get the best out of him. If it was to play on the left wing again last season, like it was, then no. No. But he's not going to be playing every single game. It's going to be rotation. Like I said, what I'm saying is it should be up to him whether Spurs sell him for money and Spurs get something in, or he wants to stay for a final year and he leaves for free. Then it comes down to Spurs. And then it's like,
I do agree with James. I think if he stays for that extra year, I think he will be better next year. I think that Frank will play an inside forward. I think he'll be, as you said, closer to the goal. And I'm sure right now, if the ball's played over the top, Solanke wins a header out of all of the wingers. Now, some may say Kudos, but I think that if all of the wingers that are running onto that ball, Son is still a very, very good finisher, although he didn't show that great last year, but he's still one of the best finishers at the club, probably. So I would still want him. However, I do think that it's that extra year. If it doesn't quite work out, he does get that Dyer, Lloris, Ben Davies treatment personally.
I agree. I agree with what both of you are saying. The only thing I would say is, even moving him into the centre, Frank has his teams work. Look at the stats with Damsgaard and Rissa. The amount of yardage and tracking and that they do. Son doesn't do that. He's never done that, to be honest. Playing balls in behind all day long, yes, he does that. That is what he's done. But he's never tracked back. He's never been that hard-working, grafting player, and he never needed to be. I mean, like we're talking about Hugo. Hugo, the big argument he had with Son about just follow your man, track your man, and they had a massive bust-up over it. Frank is not going to allow passengers, in my opinion. Yeah, you don't have to track back. You can do what you want. Your Son, you sit there. Like, I don't think he'll allow that. And if that is the case, and we're going to be changing our team for somebody like Son, he's just going to become a bigger villain quicker rather than later.
No, and that's what I'm saying. I don't want it to be a case of like, so cause at the moment he's obviously the captain. He's been there 10 years. He's the legend. He's probably not the best player, but he's the biggest star there is. I'm not saying keep him for a year and just play to his strengths or anything like that. I'm literally saying that he makes the decision if he stays. He makes the decision if he goes. He makes a decision if he stays for one more year, and then it's up to Frank. But he's treated as every other player. You don't go off of what you've done the last 10 years. You go off your ability right now. And he may say, I don't know, Tell is in a better position and Tell's my starting winger. And then Son's the one that's coming off the bench. I think that we could utilise his experience. I think he'll be better next year. But at the same time, if he does go, as I said, I feel like it's just a meeting of all of the different things coming together to say, is he ever going to bail out at a better time? My answer to that is no, I don't think he will. I don't think we're gonna see a better Son this year than we did.
What would you both do? Is in choose to do, not whatever the club wants, what he wants. Yes, now I know 15 million or 20 million. Sell or keep?
Keep. Oh, sell.
Yeah, I'd sell him.
Sell.
Again, what Brian was saying, and I've said this throughout. I've said it about Romero. I've said it about Kane. That it's all about who you bring in. If we sell him and who we bring in is, we've got Solomon, so we'll keep him. Then there's no point in that. Do you understand what I'm saying? And I kept saying this about Kane. People were saying 100 million, sell Kane, and I'm like, we won't bring in the players we need to, so therefore we may as well just keep him. So I think that's part of the problem that Spurs fans have, is that it's who we bring in for him.
The bit of a difference for me, and obviously like Kane and stuff, is Kane was fantastic right to the very end.
Yeah.
Kane was continuously just scoring goals, and he still is. Like he's just absolutely unbelievable.
No, I just meant in terms of replacing him. I mean,
no, of course.
Even if we go back to Kane, we knew Kane was going. The expectation is that they kind of knew Kane was probably going. The hierarchy probably knew that if they weren't going to let him go for free, that the year before he went, that he was probably going. And yet we still took an extra year after he left to bring in a striker, which many people think that isn't good enough anyway. So that kind of highlights the issue that I've got with getting rid of him. But then at the same time, as you said, is he delivering? That's there to be argued, I guess.
I will just add as well, you mentioned Kane, Flower. The thing with Kane, obviously he's elite. I'm not even... Kane, no matter what happens, you're playing up front. You're playing a striker. That's your position. Up top. Sonny has been asked to play so many different positions, either wide left, inside left, up top. He's been asked to play everywhere. And Tottenham Ranger has said something that, like, where I've said the whole time, Big up to him, by the way. And I've just seen my brother Ferg in here as well. With Heung-min Son, we had this with Harry Kane. We've had this with all our big players. And James would have heard me say this a billion times. The Tottenham elite stars are overplayed and undervalued. And when I say undervalued, I do not mean financially. I mean that there's players that if they are fit, no matter what their form is, no matter if they're feeling a little tired or they're carrying an injury, if you're fit, you play. If you're available, you play. And I think we've done that with some for years and years and years, which hasn't helped his decline or his drop, shall I say. But no, if he does go, which I think we all think he will be, like everyone said in the chat, he goes as a legend.
Yeah.
He'll go down as a Spurs captain that won the Europa League. He scored the first goal in the brand new stadium. Scored the first Champions League goal in the brand new stadium, and he was the one that stayed and got the trophy drought over. And that's just 3 of the things he's done in our history.
And I had to go on I didn't have to. I went on the 2 Mark show to do my Dream 11, my Dream 11 for Spurs of when I've been watching them. And I thought, let me just have a little look at some of the older players and what they've done and everything else. And I've reread Son's stats because of obviously what he's done this year has kind of dampened everyone's opinions. He's in the top 20 for goals ever in the Premier League. Mm-hmm. He's in the top 20 for assists ever in the Premier League. Mm-hmm. And when you look at all of the names that surround him, all of them were teams where the whole team was based around them. Your Salahs, your Henry. Whereas him, and I'm not saying that he didn't benefit from it with Kane dropping deep, but everything was revolved around Kane. And then Son sometimes benefited from that. So the numbers that this guy's put up are just absolutely ridiculous. And I am worried that people don't realise just how much of a legend this guy is if he stays around and doesn't deliver to the higher numbers basically that he has done. Because this year he got the same numbers as Eze. However, the way that them 2 characters or 2 players have been spoken about in the Spurs fan base couldn't be further from each other. So I completely agree. I think if I was offered 15, 20 million now, I would take it, but I would expect someone to be coming in. And we that's what we was kind of going to go into, funnily enough, straight away. Was I know that there's been a lot of rumours about Morgan Gibbs-White and everything else. We'll get into that. But do you think that the whole conversation around Spurs at this moment, it seems to be completely dead? Morgan Gibbs-White conversation's even gone quiet. There's very small links, but nothing really serious. Do you think that we just need to shift players out before we can start looking at them? Because this squad is huge. We'll start with you, Brian.
I was hoping we went to James first, but then you said me. Let's still listen. We've got major problems with outgoings. We are really bad at selling players. Really bad at getting players out of the door, and it is a big issue. It is a big issue. We say we need to get players out of the door, and it's listen. Technically, we do and we don't, because you get to name a 25-man squad. If we can't get rid of these people, it's just like, right, you're not going to be in the squad. But that you can't really do that with players on massive contracts and big, because for obvious their sell-on value. I hate saying that phrase. I hate that phrase.
You sound like a Levy disciple there.
Don't ever put those 2 words together in a sentence with me. Don't you dare. Yeah, we need to get rid of players. I will say this whole quietness is concerning. It's getting frustrating. I'm sure we'll talk about ingoings later on, so I won't go too much into that. But yeah, we have got players that we need to get out of the door. And I will say, in response to kind of what we're talking about with Son in the last week of the last year of the contract and whether he should go, we got players that we're hearing like Bissouma, for instance. I'll just use him example. That apparently he wants to stay and fight for his place. Well, why didn't you fight for your place the last couple of years? Mm-hmm. Apart from 10 games, why did you not want to? There are times where I hope Thomas Frank and whoever it may be around him will say, listen, you can say you want to stay, but you do not fit in my team, and now we're going to sell you, or you're going to have very limited game time. Mm-hmm. You look at players like Richie. Should Richie be one of them? It's a World Cup year. He'll want to lead the Brazilian attack. Yeah. He's going to need to play first team regular football. He's going to need to show he can stay fit. We need to get a lot of players out the door. I agree.
Do you agree with what Terry said? Do you think that a lot of this is waiting around for Frank to make up his mind on certain players? Some would argue that he shouldn't need time to make up his mind. There's a few players in this squad where you go, he's not been good enough for 3-4 years now. It's time to move on. But I think that does play a factor, personally.
So I think what we got to look at this as well is, I think with Thomas Frank right now, what he's got to decide mostly. I agree with Terry that like we said, we just keep players for years. But I think he's got to look at, because the investment's gone quiet, although I'm still confident that goes through. This is the first time. He needs to see what players he can get out for a decent value. There are so many players that have now gone down. Their value is so low. We need to get some money behind us, because if this investment isn't coming in and Enix don't put in the money they say they're going to do or was rumoured to, we need money. We need money. Whether we've got this big amount of finances, whatever, we are just useless at getting players out the door. There are players that need to go. But I think as well, you got to look at it. The Thomas Frank having these second games. Do you know what's on the radar? The only reason I'd do it is because of his fitness. That's it. That's it. You just can't keep Richie fit. But when it comes to those two games, is it he wants to give more minutes to more people so he can see them, so he can get them out? Is it because he wants to see? Is it because big up Rich, my good man? Is it because he wants to get more fitness in their legs so they're more prepared for the start of the season? There's so many things he needs to look at. There's so many things he needs to ascertain. But I think he roughly knows where he wants to get out, but it's whether he can get them out.
Yeah. Big up, Rich. It was great to see you on Saturday, mate.
He's a top man. He's a top man, is Rich.
So James, are you in agreement there? Richarlison, Basuma, Solomon, Gill. There's been some rumours about Devine as well today. Are these all players? Are these the players you want rid of?
So I'm not going to talk about Devine because I don't want to upset Brian and make him cry. So I'm going to leave that one alone.
You will make me cry, so don't. I'm not ready.
So for me, they all have to go now. How many times do we say, let's see if this manager can try something. Let's see if this guy could try, but maybe he could do this. I'm sorry, there's no more maybes. Again, if you want to act, we can't criticise Daniel Levy and the club for finishing 17th. And then when a new manager comes in and say, no, I want to keep all the same players. We can't do that. It's not fair.
I agree.
So you have to kind of at some point go, you know what? I mean, again, I know you can't compare us to City, but Jack Grealish, they're not happy with Jack Grealish, right? Out you go, we're going to get somebody else in. Mamouche, you come, Grealish, out you go. They've always done it. They did the same with Mahrez. You know, Chelsea have done it. They've done it with Madueke. You come in, no, you're not very good, out you go. But I believe, personally, one of the biggest problems with our fan bases is there's so many little cults for each player. And it's almost like that cult is like Richie cult. Like, yeah, we've got to keep Richie. There's a little bit of a cult going. Actually, we need to do what's best for Tottenham. And Richarlison, unfortunately, is never fit. And when he's on the pitch, he's okay. He's okay. We're not going to get back into top four with okay players, unfortunately. If you look at the calibre, the Newcastle, Villa, Chelsea, Arsenal, they're all buying. You need to buy better than those to be able to compete with those. Or we're asking for miracles from Frank. And I think that he's potentially capable of that. But at the same time, we need to at least give him half a chance.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. But again, it's about getting players out and then other players coming in. We have got another guest who's just joined us. I think his internet has been playing him up. But here he comes in, Callum. How are we doing, my man?
Mate, I'm good.
Oh, here we go. Can you?
I've had to go and work in the car now because I've just gone to my office and my bloody key ain't working. So it's been one of them nights. Let's put it that way.
There you go, Callum.
You're all right, guys.
We were just talking about getting players out the door. Richie, Solomon, Gill, Basuma, them sort of players. We're not going to go down a Devine route. We're going to leave that all to Brian. He's gonna have his say on Devine. But is there any sort of players that you think are on their way out, or do you expect them ones to be leaving?
The sort of club line at the moment seems to be the Basuma, Richie, definitely Solomon, Hill are all players they want out. Sonny, they're considering moving on as well. Davis is sort of a bit more difficult because of the homegrown aspect to him in the Premier League, but the desire is for all of them 6 to go out with not extreme prejudice, but at least like there's an acceptability that they're not part of Thomas Frank or the club's plans. Let's put it that way. And they want to try and raise about 100 million from sales on them players. It's just whether we can get the right asking price for them. And a lot of these players seem to have a nice cushy number there as well. They seem to be very sort of comfortable. They've still got years left on their contracts. They're on good wages as well compared to what they'll have elsewhere, if you get what I mean.
So someone brought up a very good point the other week. I can't remember whose stream it was on, but they were saying like Tottenham have all the best facilities in the world, the best gym, the best training facilities, the best chefs, the best. So is it just a lovely place to be when if you're not that way inclined of you want to play week in, week out? Is it just a nice place to be if you're a Basuma who's going to be told you're not featuring, a Son even, you're not playing, but you know what? Where else would I'd rather be here than say elsewhere? Is that a possibility, guys? What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. Completely agree. But this is where I was saying earlier, where we said, again, no digs at anybody, but we said, oh, if Son wants to stay, let him stay. No, this is our club is too nice. We need to say, unfortunately, mate, you're out. Off you go, in with the next. And to be honest, I'm probably a bit more ruthless. All these kids coming through, I would get rid of a lot of those and just put buyback clauses in, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm surprised that the rumour is that Keeley, there's no buyback clause. Initially, there was, then there isn't. I think it's quite a big sell-on clause. But I'm going to come to you, Brian, because I know you're itching to talk all things Alfie Devine. This was a wonder kid. This was a player that everybody thought was going to go and be the man in the Premier League almost.
Yep.
Not quite worked out. Part of that, I believe, is down to Spurs' horrendous loan system, loan management, whatever you want to call it. Year after year, we're sending players. Scarlett's another one, sending players to teams that either don't play that system, don't play that way, whatever. What are your thoughts on the Devine rumours? It is a permanent transfer, apparently, to Millwall that's being expected.
Yep. So first of all, let's look at it. The guy turns 21 next week. Turns 21. He's had Mauricio Pochettino, Jose Mourinho, Antonio Conte, Stellini, Mason, Postecoglou, and now he's had 7 managers.
Don't forget Nuno. Don't forget Nuno in there as well.
No. He's had 8 managers. And we signed him as 15, and he's about to turn it. We've had more managers at this football club than he's had years at the football club. That's basically where we are when it comes to Alfie Devine. How are you going to get a player now? Obviously, Jose Mourinho had faith in him and played him in the FA Cup, brought him on a couple of times. Antonio Conte brought him on a couple of times. He is that player that you just said. He's just not had the opportunity. Last pre-season, he was one of our best players, by far. Easy. Sent him out on loan. Every time we're going through, and I actually think with Justin Cochrane being here and him loving Devine and working with Devine in England, I thought, right, here we go, set up, perfect. I still believe he is that player. I've said when he came on, I've always said I think he needs a championship loan this season. Like Donnelly had in League One. He went to League One with Port Vale and was flying. Then he went to Plymouth to work with a manager he worked with in England, and then 3 weeks later they sacked him. And then it stopped. He went to Belgium, was doing well, not as well as Vuskovic, but picking up a hamstring injury near the end of the season. He is I keep saying he's a star in the making. He really is a star in the making. I think he needs a championship loan. I'd love him to go to West Brom with Mason, Birmingham, Curtis Davis, McKenna, Ipswich, maybe a Southampton. There's other teams. There is a player there, and Do you know what I was just saying with Ferg? And I was saying this morning when it went up. Maybe this is now like Josh Keeley, where it's just like, I don't want to stay here. I want first team football. I don't blame him for that. I don't blame him for that, because you've got to look at it and say, well, where am I going to play? What am I going to do? I hope this doesn't go through at the weekend, so he gets more minutes and maybe Frank can have one final assessment at him. I really do hope there is a buyback clause in this one, because as I've said, and James would have heard me say it a million times, when he leaves his football club, wherever he goes, within 3 years, he'll be back in the Premier League tearing it up. Mark my words. Bookmark it, clip me, whatever. We just haven't had the right manager to use him, play him, trust him. I thought that was going to happen with Ange after pre-season last season. Well, obviously it didn't. And it will be, honestly, I will be heartbroken if Alfie Devine leaves his football club. Like, genuinely heartbroken.
I'll come to you. Callum, do you agree with that? Or?
Well, I've got something that might make Brian's day a little bit better.
Please, go on.
So I was speaking to a contact around the academy earlier, and they're saying that Thomas Frank has been extremely impressed with Lancashire, Donley, Devine and Moore. There's a very, very good chance they will be the 4 youngsters that are remaining around the squad this year that will be part of the B list, unless a very substantial offer comes in. But it would have to be a very good offer for Devine to go. And to add to the Josh Keeley one, Luke, I know you covered it, but just go back on it. There is a buyback clause. It was a £2 million deal with a £45 million sell-on clause and a £5 million buyback after 2 years. 45%, sorry. 45%.
Bloody hell, 45 million.
No, they don't rate him that highly, but no, it's a $5 million buyback clause after 2 seasons we can activate.
But that relies on the guy wanting to come back again, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So, but yeah,
well, we had it with Sirkin, didn't we, as well, and we didn't activate that, and now we're bloody looking at him this year to solve the homegrown quota issue as well as a left back target. So it shows how shithousery we are.
That was another thing. I mean, talk about the loan system not being great, but obviously the homegrown issue, the amount of player or club trained specifically, the amount of players that we've let go. But now we're obviously struggling. There are players like Archie Gray, less so with Bergvall, but maybe Vuskovic as well. These players may be options of sending out on loan. However, now, because of the club trained issue, I can't see any of them now going out on loan. I think they have to stay just to try and boost their numbers. What are your thoughts on them sort of young players, James? Because I know you were just saying that you think most of them need to either go or leave or loan, whatever that is. Do you think they have to stay purely on the club trained issue?
I think if they stay, that's the biggest mistake for them and for the club will ever make if they stay this season. Because for me, when you hit that 20-year-old period, you need to be playing week in, week out at your level. So, say, for example, they're Championship level at the moment and they're going to go on to be Premiership. They need to be playing it week in, week out in the Championship, 40 games a season. That's how they're going to learn their craft. Sitting on the bench and playing for under 21s or under 23s, in my opinion, that's not best for their development. If we want them to develop into what we want them to be, they need to go to, like what Brian said, if it was Mikey Moore or Devine, send them to a West Brom or a Birmingham, somewhere where they're going to play week in, week out and see how if they sink or swim. Because if they swim in that sort of environment, there's a good chance that they could take the next step. If they don't, like for me, I think to keep people around for the sake of keeping people around, you're kind of affecting their ability and their growth. So I would let them go on loan and with the option of like, right, this is your last year. This is the Championship. The next step up is the Premiership. If you want that Premiership spot, let's see what you've got. Rather than just keep them in and playing in under 23s or youth set up under 21s, it doesn't make sense to me. That's not how kids learn football. When we was all younger, if you was good, what they did is they put you in the age group above. They're like, right, yeah, you play in your football, play week in, week out, we'll put you on your level, the age group above or vice versa. Keeping these guys training week in, week out and not getting no match fitness and match sharpness. I mean, the Championship is full of fully grown men. So I'd like to see Mikey Moore, Donnelly, people like this, Devine, against those big no-nonsense defenders.
Yeah, I think Moore seems to be one that a lot of fans think should be playing right now in the first team. However, a loan move could end up being the best option. Well, with regards to Moore, because he's sort of the real young prospect coming through, Brian, would you loan him out, or would you keep him around that first team?
Listen, it's good to see here that what Callum said, that Frank's been very, very happy in what he's seen and impressed. I saw rumours, I think it was last week, that Dortmund were after him. I don't think there's a better club for him to go. Look what they've done with English talent. Look what they've done with youngsters. Yeah, I'll start that because we'll come back to that comment from Chris, because Morgan Gibbs-White is my specialist subject at the moment. I'm obsessed with that man. But getting back to Michael, you look what English people have done. English talent have done at Borussia Dortmund. Your Bellinghams, your Sanchos. They are a club that do very, very well with youth players. I think he's a star in the making. Again, like Alfie Devine, and we saw that with the second half performance in the Europa League. But I think what he showed in the Premier League last season is he's just not ready. He is at work, and I think he's going to be an extremely important figure for Spurs in the future. But like James said, we need them to go out and get minutes. Like you said as well, Luke, we look at it, the way we've done loans previously have been absolutely shambolic. Yep. That has been a big, big problem. But obviously, the Donnelly Keeley one was a massive success. They went to Orient, they got their minutes, and we need to focus on doing things like that, like making sure when these players go out on loan, that there's a clear set of understanding with the club we're loaning them to, saying they're going to play them in this position, they're going to get X, Y, Z amount of minutes. They're going to do not just we take them, and like you said, Dane Scarlett, who had so many ridiculous loans, he would have developed more if he stayed with Spurs. Yeah, in my honest opinion.
We actually done the same thing. You mentioned it with Devine. We sent him on loan. He was having a brilliant loan at was it?
Yeah, Port Vale.
Unbelievable loan. Halfway through the season, we go, right, we'll step him up there, and he's barely paid after that. It's like, who is having these conversations? And I believe a very, very young goalkeeper who was on loan to like a National League club. Spurs actually set up a loan deal where if he played, Spurs covered his wages. Now, that doesn't sound like a huge amount to a Premier League club, but to a National League club, that's exactly the sort of thing you want to put in things where if he plays X amount of games, you get an incentive of some sort just to make sure these people are playing, because it's absolutely crazy how many loans we've actually sent players out and they've just sat on the bench. Scarlett has been handled ridiculously. However, as you said, if you actually look at last year, Vuskovic, Devine, Keeley, Gunter had a good loan, I'm sure. There's loads of them. Abbott had a brilliant loan, all playing 40, 50 games. Like we need to start doing that. And I think Mikey Moore would definitely be able to be a player that can go down to the Championship. But if he's able physically to compete in that league, then there's no reason why he can't come back and become a Premier League player in my eyes. So I think you're all bang on. Just moving on now.
Can I just add to that? I said about Mikey Moore, and I said about Mikey Moore and Devine, I would love to see them both go to Syria, because they're playing against flat back fours or flat back fives continuously. And I think them breaking down defences, whether they're good enough to play in a Serie A or not, or that yet, I don't know. But I think that is the sort of challenge they need, where they're going to be sitting against teams that are happy to be deep for 90 minutes and try and break those guys down rather than go into a League One, League Two. I think that they're above that. They need to go Championship minimum, like Brian said. Maybe like a Dortmund or that, but I think Dortmund are very good at producing the young players once they've signed for them. They don't really loan them, work on them, and then send them back. They're kind of like a buying club.
No, if you could get a Dortmund on loan, I think that would be unbelievable. But I think right. I mean, as a club, especially that sort of level club, they're looking at bringing their own players in and developing them, and then selling. Selling him for 50 odd, 60 odd million after signing him a couple of years previous. So that to me, when Dortmund was first kind of mentioned, I'm thinking that's a perm. They're not looking to take him on loan, surely. Like that would be, because I don't think he's probably. I don't think they got Champions League this year. So it's not like they're in Europe, they've got loads of games or anything like that. That would strike me as a weird sort of move. But just on the outgoings and the current players that we currently have, obviously already discussed on. Romero links seem to have gone very, very quiet. So he seems to be staying. Does everybody feel like that's going to stay the same as he's going to stay, or do you think there'll be a last minute sort of offer from anyone for Romero?
I think he'll go if they offer the money. If they don't offer the money, he won't go. Yeah, then he won't go.
Yeah, because Atletico have just signed Hanko from the Eredivisie, which it looked like he was going Saudi. So they've just signed their centre back. They've already signed like a left back. I can't see them paying the money. The only team
they've still got Clement fucking Longley as well. They've got fucking Clement Longley.
the only club that seem to be in a centre back market at this moment in time are Real Madrid, but they seem to be going either Konate because he's out of contract at the end of the season, or Saliba as a long term. So I can't see them stomping up the money. So if Romero stays, the question was asked to Frank, but maybe you guys can provide the answer because Frank didn't. Who's the captain for Spurs going forward? If we could say whether Son's here or not, he's probably not going to be a mainstay or a starting player. Does he stay as captain? Do you bring someone else in? Brian, who would you have as your captain?
See, this is the thing. I think Romero, I think there might be a bid for him late on in the window. I think until Frank and him have a conversation, which they may have had already, if he doesn't put pen to paper, this now comes, he's going into the last 2 years of his contract. So if you can get a fee for him, you take it because his contract will just wind down if he doesn't commit. If he doesn't commit, do you make him captain? If he's there, what I will say, if Romero's out, I'd make him captain. But what I've been saying all along and what I'd love to see, let's say Frank, his son's out the door, so he's gone. If he makes a brand new leadership team or whatever he's going to call it, there is a player that I'd love to see on it, and that's Pedro Porro. I'd love to see Porro within the leadership team. That man bleeds Tottenham. You need your captain to be there regularly, playing regularly. Porro does that. His attitude, his dedication, his passion for the club, I would love him in the leadership team. Whether I'd make him captain or vice captain, I don't know. But I'd love to see Porro on that new leadership team.
Yeah, I mean, availability is massive. I definitely think he's got some sort of drive and determination. So I wouldn't be completely against it. But then I don't know who is the other sort of captain materials that we've got at this club. Is there anyone else?
Kulu,
Yeah.
Benson Core.
Vicario. Just to make James happy because he didn't say Alfie Devine.
My goalkeeper.
I'm not having a goalkeeper as captain again.
I don't like goalkeepers as captain personally myself either, Callum.
I can't live with that again. I can't. I mean, he is literally becoming the exact Lloris that we didn't want in Vicario. I'm very concerned about him, and I know that's probably another show altogether. But I don't want a goalkeeper as bloody captain.
Well, we might not have a choice because there isn't that many. I don't think really that as a club captain, you could argue that a few of the players we've mentioned would come in as stand-ins maybe, but are they a club captain? I'm not so. Well, obviously one of them actually.
He shouts at people for his mistakes. I mean, the geezer's
all goalkeepers do that. All goalkeepers.
I know, but he's more susceptible than most, to be honest. He trips over and he has a go at a centre-back for apparently tripping him over.
Callum, let me just give you the guidelines. Right next to you on this stream, you've got someone that if you say Vicario in a bad way, you can see him. You can just see his brain clogging away. He is Vicario's number one man.
I can see a vein. I mean, I've got a vein up there when I talk about Vicario. I can see James is there as well. He's bubbling. It's like a toothpaste tube all going to the top.
The only thing I can say is maybe you haven't heard it. In a game, there's one voice you can hear on a pitch continuously, and that's Vicario. Whether the ball's in our end of the pitch or theirs, he's the one screaming instructions. If I was to pick, ideally, I would want a centre midfielder or a centre back at captain. But I'm not just going to pick a centre-back or a midfielder as captain just for the sake of it. I want the guy that's going to command the most and speak the most and organise the most. And he, unfortunately, for whoever else, is that guy. Porro would be my vice because of the passion, but I don't think he's level-headed enough to command and demand. Say like Son, I can't imagine Porro going up to Son and saying, "You've done this wrong. You haven't done this." Or whereas Vicario will tell anybody, he's like, "Oh, this is you have left him X, Y, Z." So for me, and it would be Vicario by default, not out of choice. It's not like, "Oh, I want Vicario. He's my captain." It would be default.
Yeah, we're talking about squads. These are things that should be factored in when you're looking at purchasing players and putting together a squad. We've got leaders, we've got this. And yet again, I don't feel like we've had one. Kane was not the. We've had very lead by example captains, haven't we? But over the years, when you look at the top teams, they've mainly got. You want to go to war with captains, and we don't seem to be in getting them sorts of players in.
We haven't had captains since like when Vertonghen was there. I mean, Vertonghen marshalled that whole back line, and he should have been our captain hands down for so long, and yet Lloris had it for so blinking long, didn't he, as well? That was one of the main issues for me.
But I also think that it's very easy to say that when we don't know what was going on behind the scenes, because the one clip that we saw where Sonny didn't track his man, he let him know. Yeah. It's not like he's one of those guys that lead by. He let him know, if you're man, you need to track him. So it's very easy for us to all say that because none of us know what's going in behind the scenes. So it's one of those, lead by example. But we didn't know. We didn't know if Harry Kane went in there and threw boots at people and this ain't good enough. I wanted to win this trophy, X, Y, Z. No one knew. So it's quite easy to say that. And especially almost not moving away from football, but we're in a complete different generation now. Yeah. When I was a kid, if I did something wrong, mate, I would get beat. Now, I can't even tell the kids off and take away their Xbox without them going mental. So it's a completely different universe, to be honest.
No, yeah, I do agree, but I think that you have got a mix of that. You mean even like Vincent Kompany is one where you think almost like don't get on the wrong side of. Do you know what I mean? Like, can you imagine players sitting there going, "Oh, I won't step out of line because Son's going to put me in place." Like Romero probably, Vicario possibly as well, but I feel like they're the sorts of type of characters that you need to have in and around, even though it's not as to the level it used to be. Roy Keane, Vieiras, it's still one where you kind of, I feel like we need to have a little bit of metal, a little bit of steel involved. But we will come on to that at some stage. I'm sure there'll be some sort of rumours linking us to captain material players. One thing I just wanted to cover before and I think we might have already briefly touched about it, but after the friendly that took place, obviously against Reading, is Vuskovic the best centre-back in the world of football at this moment in time, Brian?
He's the best player in the world. Forget centre-backs. He is one game, one goal, one assist, one clearance off the line, a crunching tackle, Ballon d'Or worthy. Ballon d'Or worthy. No, let's be serious. Listen, he looked very impressive in that game. A lot of people could say, it was only Reading, whatever. To an extent, it was only Reading, but he's still got to come in and do something. What do we want? What do we want him to do? Come in and do nothing and go, Well, what does it? He came in and showed what he's about. Want to see him do it more. I mean, you got to remember, he did that against Reading, who were quite physical for a friendly. I don't see him having the same thing against the filth, Newcastle or Bayern Munich in Korea.
That's a good test, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. I was very, very impressed. I think seeing what he performed there, I'm a big fan of Ashley Phillips. I actually think Ashley Phillips is a future England centre-back. When we signed him, I said I did a tweet the day we signed him saying the year is 2029 and Ashley Phillips is leading Spurs out as captain. The way he's getting so many loans, I don't know how true that will be. I wanted to have like a Simpsons moment and go, oh, there you go, look, I predicted it all those years ago. But I think that performance, was very, very impressive and may have surprised a lot of people, but it was something to enjoy, wasn't it? It was something to say, do you know what? We've all wanted to see what this guy can do. And if that was what his first offering was, let's just hope he stays on that kill and see what we got with him. But I was very, very impressed.
I mean, the finish was better than probably a better finish than I've seen Solanke deliver this season.
Mate, the guy, I don't know if he's a hybrid NFL, rugby, boxer, all that can play football. He is a unit.
He is huge. Has anyone seen the training pictures from today?
Mhm.
Yeah.
He's literally he's standing over Romero, just
Yeah.
like he's huge.
Yeah, I know.
He's like 6'5" and 18 or something like that. I mean, that man is grown in a lab, isn't he? He's definitely grown.
He's
somewhere.
like Ivan Drago, Callum,
Oh
in
God.
Rocky. He's like Ivan Drago in Rocky.
Did
See,
you,
I know he's getting a lot of praise, but I thought the whole game changed when Vicario come on. To be honest,
Yeah, we were watching it together, James. I remember.
Yeah.
So-
We had more. We nearly conceded more chances in the second half, didn't we? With his goal line clearances and he's flapping about. There we go.
Did we concede though? Did we concede?
Nearly did. Apart from
Did we
unless
though?
Vuskovic.
Did
Vuskovic
we,
had to
though?
save him.
Did we concede though, or is that
He went-
same in the Europa League final? Did we concede in that, or did he save us at the end of that? Or
No, that was Van der Ven saved us then.
I have to
all
say,
right.
him in that
Yeah.
goal. You in that goalkeeper top, James. I'm trying to decide if it's a goalkeeper top or
My
if
keeper.
it's Vicario Army war gear, and you're
Yeah.
about to go to war. It's your camouflage.
Absolutely, yeah.
you see
But
that?
no, I do think though, he was fantastic. This is where I'll close your ears, Brian, because I know you've just backed me up there. But this is where, for me, I will not criticise, but Alfie Devine and him were in the same team, same league, and for me, Vuskovic was the one getting all the plaudits. He was the one getting all the.
He was a centre back scoring goals non-stop. He was going to.
And
But
the
he was
problem is,
also keeping a lot of clean sheets and defending very well. I saw a lot of good defending.
Devine was out injured for 3
Devine was
months.
injured, exactly.
Yeah, I know. But this is what I'm saying.
You know what, Callum? Fill your boots. I try. Fill your goddamn boots. I'll join you. Fill your boots.
I'm
We'll
sorry,
set
bro.
fire to that goalkeeping kit, and if he's in it, then an added bonus.
I'd happily die in this goalkeeping kit. I go
Yeah,
through
no.
that.
No, to be fair though, you're not wrong, because obviously Vuskovic, I think, has probably had more first team football than Devine. That's the thing that we've all got to realise.
Yeah.
And it's just because of his stature. I mean, if you're going up against strikers, if he's coming at you, you're going to be shit scared. I mean, I'm 5'8", and if I saw him on a night out, I'd just turn away. If you think if you've got that running at you from a set piece and he's going for a header, he's going to bowl you over, isn't he? Sort of thing. So I mean, it's just the man mountain that he is unbelievable. And if he can adapt well to the Premier League and to the Champions League, then for 12 million. I mean, his market value could be 45 million next year alone if we decide to just sell him now. If you get what I mean.
It is crazy. I mean, when you look at the numbers, Adrian's literally just put it in. We paid £12 million for a 16-year-old, but that's just the way it's going. And to be fair, you're right, Ryan. It was against Reading. It was a League One opposition, etc. But I definitely feel, especially at that age, the physicality is one part. If you're good enough technically, you can see that on the training pitch. But the physicality, being able to deal with it, this boy is not going to have problems like that.
No.
I think the one place that he's even highlighted himself is his turn of pace and his ability to kind of run. Now, in an Ange system, probably would have struggled slightly, but you would expect Frank to be set up slightly differently and better. So hopefully that's not.
Can you imagine the battle with him and Haaland? The physicality. He's going to be right up there with them for physicality. He's a beast. He's a beast. He like Callum said, and like I said, he's Ivan Drago of the footballing world.
Well, let's see if he stays around. I think he will this summer. I think he'll stay around, especially with Dragusin being out injured, and then maybe, as quite a few people have mentioned, I think in the chat as well, that maybe January is where we start moving some players out on loan to see. We're getting to latter stages. There might be a little bit more consistent team.
Spurs have already turned down 2 offers for him this summer. That's the thing. They've actually turned down 2 offers. They've turned down one from Hertha Berlin and one from a Dutch team as well on loan. So they've literally they're saying no to any interest in him at the moment.
I actually think both of them leagues would suit him quite well. The German league is almost the the next in line to the Premier League. And then also the Dutch league, I think is very, very technical. So I think both of them would be a good loan. However, that's if he's not seen as a first team player. If he's going to get minutes, then I think he sticks around, because I think if he's learning the good traits from Romero, and he's learning from like the Van der Vens, and some of you may drop your head, but players like Ben Davies, then I think that he's definitely going to be able to grow as a player. I think Davies is a coach on the pitch almost. So I think that's something that we could be a good thing.
I think he could learn from Danso as well. I mean, I was impressed from what I saw from Danso in the 6 months. So I mean, there's a lot worse role models out there. I mean, if you learn how to be non-mobile, then you look at Dragusin. But seeing that, I think literally you've got 3 good role models there, and then Davis as well. Like you say, he could. The high praise that Vuskovic has got as well from Modric. I mean, you can't get much better than that, can you? It speaks for itself.
No, 100%, and they are saying that they think he's going to be elite levels as well. So let's hope so. But as I said, the way that we've managed young players over a number of years now has not been the best. So hopefully that sort of changes with him. Let's move on now to the old incomings, and I'm going to start and just say, are we going to bid for Rodrigo and Isaac, or what? Are we going to go in for these players just to test the waters?
No.
Good. Right, moving on. Who's to blame for Morgan Gibbs-White transfer? Because the Spurs fan base seems to be up in arms about it. I've seen so many people saying that this is typical Spurs. Some are saying it's Forest. Some are saying it's all legal. James, where do you sit on it? We're not going to spend too much because we've been speaking about it for weeks.
I'll blame everybody involved, to be honest. I'll blame all of them, because if Spurs have put a release clause, regardless of how it happened, we've hit the release clause. He should be released, and we should be able to talk to him. We should be able to sign him. Then they should be taking us to court or whatever they wanted to do afterwards. But they're neglecting his contract, because he's in his contract. It's his rights to leave. I also think it's Levy's fault, because if he did find out, just put a few extra 100,000 in or whatever. And if he didn't want to do that, at that point, like where it's at now, just go to him and say, look, I can't be asked for this. We need him. How much more is it? And they go, right, it's 65 million, but we want 35 up front. All right, done. Do it. Just get it done. It's just always something. It's just boring. And I'm such a big fan of him, but I'm now at that point, like, I don't care. It's like, oh, whatever, you've ruined it for me.
Is that second here we go not going to just be superb, or are you just going to be?
No, I think I'm like, oh yeah, I'm like, oh, I'll be so happy to have him as a player, like, but the whole excitement period of him signing is gone for me. No.
Mm-hmm. Callum, what are your thoughts? Who's to blame for this saga?
Well, you never leave me alone. Every single day you ask for an update, don't you, from it? So literally,
not me.
Yeah. It is you every single day you ask me for something. But no, I think James is right. There's Marinakis throwing his toys out the pram, because obviously this clause has come out of nowhere, apparently. I think there's a bit of brinkmanship with Levy, because you've got 2 of the hardest ass chairmen or owners, or whatever you want to call them, going against each other, which is really difficult. But I think the blame has to lie with the agent, if anything. It's got to lie with Morgan Gibbs-White's camp, because if this clause wasn't meant to be there and they've breached an NDA, then that's who Forest should be threatening legal action against. And if that is the case, then Spurs and Forest should step back, and it should be against the agency. But the problem is we've got embroiled in a transfer battle, which is then dictating the rest of our window at the moment, because we've got impending court action over us, we've got sanctions threatened, everything like that, and yet Marinakis hasn't gone to the Premier League. He's just notified them of it, so it's localized lawyers that are involved on it. So yeah, I think it's a bit of everyone, to be honest, and it just makes it so much more difficult to complete a deal, which realistically the reasons for release clauses is that you meet it, and then it gives you permission to engage with the player.
Yeah.
And we know it happens every single window. People tap up or speak to players and agree personal terms before. And it just seems that we've had this levied against us because Forest didn't want to lose Elanga and Morgan Gibbs-White within 2 days. They're two best players. It would mean that the whole of Nottingham would be up in uproar. They'd set fire to the university. They'd set fire to the Forest ground, and Marinakis would be back on his yacht in Greece and all that sort of scenario. But it's such a difficult one, and I agree that it's dragged on, but Spurs are still positive. They still feel this deal can be done, and everyone that's saying about pre-season, he's gone on it. Well, there's such thing as air travel these days. I think the days of sending carrier pigeons and going by rowing boat are long gone, don't you? Because Harry Kane trained with us for the whole season and then went to Bayern Munich.
Yeah, completely
It makes
agree.
no difference.
Brian, I brought this comment up because you mentioned it when it came up. I completely disagree with it as well. We hadn't even spoke about Morgan Gibbs-White, so I don't know where it came from because we're just moving on to him now. What's your thoughts on the whole situation?
Yeah, I'm gonna comment on this, then I'm gonna give my Morgan Gibbs-White stance situation where I am. First of all, and I'm saying this very personally, and not many people know this, James knows, whoever. This is just disgusting. My wife went through a high-risk pregnancy and unfortunately lost the baby. We had a miscarriage. When you're going through cheers, brother. When you're going through a high-risk pregnancy, do you think Morgan Gibbs-White gives a fuck where he's playing football? No. Do you think he gives a damn about if he's got to go on a training camp to Portugal or not? He said he wants to come to Spurs. There's 5 weeks left of the window. He doesn't want to put a transfer request in, or has been set, or it's looking that way, because he's a fan favourite at Nottingham Forest, just like Harry Kane is at Tottenham. And look what happened when he did it with Man City. Look at the knock-on effect, and with other players that do this. These kind of comments, because he hasn't put a transfer request in, doesn't mean it. No one knows what's going on. No one. Yeah. Morgan Gibbs-White could say, listen, if you don't get this done before the start of the season, I am going to do something. He could be saying so many things behind the scenes. And right now, this isn't Tottenham's fault. We paid the release clause. He wants to come to Spurs, and Forest are just being absolute pricks. Yeah. They're being pricks. Never seen anything like. I mean, look, don't get me wrong. If anyone was to say, if there's a massive worldwide survey and said this kind of transfer is going to happen to the letter, what team would it happen to? Everyone would say Spurs. This is the most Spursiest thing. Maybe Spursy, the football tag, has gone for trophies, but the way we do transfers, the way these fans react and everything, mate, it's just insane. Morgan Gibbs-White, and I'll tell you the other thing, and I've said it now for a few days, unless David Ornstein says it, or it comes out of Spurs official channels or Nottingham Forest, it's all bullshit. It's all. I don't mean that with you, Kat. I'm just sick and tired. You're not one of these who just go pinning up on like all these fake ITKs that have come out of the woodwork that go, oh yeah, he's doing this, but in fact another one said he's doing the opposite. Oh, he's on his way. No, he's there. He's here. No, he's there. It's all nonsense. David Ornstein, out of all the reliable ones, comes on, says something, leaves it alone. No blue ticks, no whatever. Fabrizio Romano, even today, Ornstein comes up and talks about Isaac. 10 minutes later, oh, look, Romano's saying everything. I still 100% believe this is going to happen. This is legal. This is nothing to do with Tottenham. And believe me, if there's one man on this panel or one man in Spurs community that would have a go at Levy for walking right foot, left foot instead of left foot, right foot, you're looking at him. You are looking at him. This still goes through. I'm 100% confident. I honestly am. We've got 5 weeks. Like Callum just said, we've just seen Wissa, who's in Portugal, came home early because of transfer talks. Back in the day, Sissoko, who we signed on transfer deadline day, was at France's international camp.
Yeah, he was in Everton, wasn't he? And then drove down.
They were saying he was at Everton. But Everton were there, and guess what? He was able to. These are Premier League footballers. They don't try and get on the Eurostar for £1 or try and jump on the ferry. They'll just fly. It's nonsense. I mean, I've said this window because I do believe takeover talk is imminent, or the naming rights or whatever. I do think we are literally crossing the T's and dotting the I's. It's the first time I've ever believed it, and I think that is happening. So, don't get me wrong. You got to remember as well. When have Tottenham ever, under Levy or in recent history, got into 2 Premier League teams and said we're taking your best players? Not your players that are up for sale or in the last year of their contract. West Ham, right, we're going to come in and take Kudus off you. Next day, right, we're going to take Gibbs-White off you. They've never done it. Ever, ever, ever. It's annoying that we now haven't moved for other players. That's annoying and frustrating, especially when others are going. But there's still 38 days of this window left. Morgan Gibbs-White walks into our midfield. Walks into it. I still believe he will be it. But people saying, oh, he's not doing enough, he's got to man up, he's got to put in a transfer request. Look at what's going on in his life. Remember, right now, for the last 2 weeks, that guy, everywhere he goes, the media are all over him. He has been put into a media circus and transfer saga that he hasn't asked for. He has a wife, fiance, he's got kids, he's got family. Everywhere he goes, everything he does is being monitored. I think Morgan Gibbs-White has handled himself fantastically. Shock horror, he's turned up for training where he's contractually obliged or obligated to. Shock horror, he was in the starting lineup of a team that is contractually obligated to play for. We go nuts if a player asks for a transfer request at Tottenham. If Bentancur or any Spurs player came in now and said, that's it, I want out, one of the top players, every single one of us would go nuts for putting that request in. But now we're having a go at someone for not doing it at his club. And then when you put on, like we said, the high-risk pregnancy, someone's got, you've got, he should have manned up. He's got no spirit or no backbone. He's a pussy. Don't be stupid. Don't be fucking stupid.
I completely agree. And also, not only that, not only is he going through that personally and everything else, and we don't know what's going through. I would hope that both clubs have kind of gone, look, we're not involving him. Let's speak separately because he's got enough to fucking deal with, is the first thing. But also, I think you're right, Callum. I think the fact that they lost Elanga a couple of days before, he needs to show some sort of fight to be able to kind of make sure that this works. But also, everyone that I keep hearing say this about Gibbs, like he must hand in a transfer request. He has agreed a contract at Spurs. He can't do any more than say I want to leave by accepting a contract at a different club. The whole handing in a transfer request means he loses bonuses, etc., etc. Now, I do think it might get to a point where he may need to go down that route. But if you've agreed a contract at another club, how much more can you say without saying it that you're happy to leave Nottingham Forest and go to Spurs? So that whole kind of conversation around the transfer request doesn't make sense to me at this moment in time. And as you've said, what is to stop him in 2 years' time if City come in, then just all of a sudden not turning up to training at Spurs? I don't want them sort of characters here. That's not why. If he was to start doing that, you don't want him at your club. That's not the characters you want.
At Wolves as well, he never requested a transfer before he went to Forest. He was a consummate professional, waited for the deal to be agreed with Forest and let it go through. He's not that type of player to throw his toys out the pram. Not like a Gyökeres who has frustrated the whole of Portugal, who gave him his chance, and now he's going to Arsenal for a cut rate deal to make them happy. It's that he's a proper professional, and the fact that, like Brian said about the complicated pregnancy as well, he had to travel 2.5 hours from Nottingham down to London to go to a specialist hospital with a maternity ward, which is more suited to deal with conditions like that, shows his dedication to his family. And pricks and arseholes and, excuse my language, fucking cunts on X who give all this shit out going that, oh, he should just sign, oh, he was seen in London, oh, I've seen this, I've seen that. It's not on. The only thing we know is that apparently on that Friday, when it was agreed, he was at Spurs or at a hotel down there. That's as far as the deal went. Everyone's saying he did a medical. He did a part 1. Medical duties can be requested on a part 1, just getting medical records from a lawyer agency and doing a bit of media work. Nothing else was done. And people need to just get off their high horse and understand if the deal's going to happen, it happens when it happens. He's not going to force through a deal. Spurs aren't going to pay anymore. Marinakis is going to look to get his replacements in. And if anyone else wants to go and give their alternatives to it, then great. But they don't have, like Brian said, he's got a contract. He's obliged to play against it. Spurs have got an impending legal injunction. They've got to be very careful. And Marinakis is just managing to fuck up the whole footballing world in the Premier League at the moment. He's managed to take Nottingham Forest from the golden boys of the Premier League to being one of the most hated fan bases. So we've just got to let it play out. And if people don't like it, well, don't watch transfer window.
Yeah.
Every club goes through this. It's just Spurs are going for it at the moment. I mean, everyone wanted Eze 6 weeks ago. We get told there's no interest. Everyone's going, Spurs never moved for him. Or Spurs have been beaten by Arsenal. No, we ain't been beaten by Arsenal. We ain't fucking moved for him. Simple as that. That's how transfers work. Transfers change. Targets change. And Spurs have hundreds of players they look at each year. And when people get hung up on one transfer, it just shows how naive they are. They think they're playing Football Manager. They think just throw the money down and it gets done like that. It's not like that in transfers. It's the most complicated thing in football.
I disagree. I would agree with you if it was any other football club, but I completely disagree because it's Tottenham. Pedro Porro does not take 30+ days to get over the line. I don't care who you are.
Well, no, that's happened with Gyökeres. This was Sporting Lisbon, utter wakers. This is the thing.
But it's every time Tottenham are linked, there's hardball. There's hardball. Can we save this? Can we do this?
James,
the Kudus deal was done in 5 days.
If Marinakis hadn't kicked off what he did, because we found out with the release fee, he'd already be his first player. He'd be his first player. We bid the money, and they're going, oh, we found out the release fee. Serious question to you three and the people in the chat. I asked this on We Are Tottenham TV. If forget we know the release fee, if Spurs had bid 60 million for Morgan Gibbs-White, without knowing that's a release fee, would you have said that's about the right average right price for the player? That's nothing. That's not going over the top or anything. I said that's in the Premier League standards. That's a pretty low. Exactly. It's not like we had. It's not like it was a bizarre £63,927,386 58p release clause. It's 60 million. Spurs, whether they found out. It would have been done in 24, 48 hours. Oh. Now that there's no news, don't get me wrong, James, the fact that it's happened to Spurs and it just happened to happen to Spurs is just typical. But you see, Forest are going to lodge a complaint to the Premier League. No, they haven't. Yes, they will. No, they're not. Yes, they're going to. It's all nonsense. This is all absolute nonsense. We've hit a transfer release fee. Every single time this happens at any other club, okay, we can't do anything. And they said it was a secret release fee. Well, if your manager knows it, your player knows it, and the agent knows it, is it a secret anymore?
Well, the whole point of a release clause is that people are supposed to match it. And if no one's allowed to know it, how the fuck do they match it? It's like, it doesn't make any sense for me.
And what I heard as well, Luke, I don't know how legit this is, but it marries up with everything, is Marinakis was under the impression it was a relegation release fee. That if he went down, then that's his price. But whoever did his contract and put the clause in didn't state that this is a relegation release only fee. So they've done that on the thought that if they go down, we've got our backs covered, financially wise. But no, they've messed up. It will go to the Premier League. The Premier League will see that we've done nothing wrong, because how can you prove it? He'll be a Spurs player. And I'll tell you what, one thing you did say to round this off in a really nice way, Luke, when you said that second "here we go," which I won't believe it will be Ornstein, it's not only going to hit like crack. You've probably seen my tweets. Every single day there's at least 3 Morgan Gibbs-White positive tweets. There's also every morning I come up with a positive song line. Mate, the amount of, no, he's not, move on, blah, blah. The victory tour I'm going to go on, the Morgan Gibbs-White victory tour, is going to be epic on Twitter. It's going to be epic.
Even if I don't really feel like it, I'm just going to go mad anyway.
Oh, mate, mate, don't worry. I'll take one for the team. I am going to be absolutely unbearable on Twitter, but in a good way.
Let's just go in the world that's not going to exist and we don't get Morgan Gibbs-White over the line. Apparently, the links are Harvey Elliott. Now, I've got my thoughts. I'm going to let you all say yours. What would your thoughts be, James, on bringing Harvey Elliott to Spurs as the replacement for Morgan Gibbs-White?
They're not even in the same league, in my opinion. I think Morgan Gibbs-White is absolutely levels above Harvey Elliott. He's getting a lot of credit, Harvey Elliott, for being in around this Liverpool team, but he's never really stuck a spot down. He's never really kept a position. And I'm not saying he's a bad player because he's probably better than what we've got. But personally, I think it's a big drop-off.
Yeah. Brian?
I don't know. James has taken my negative juice and I've taken his positive potion. Because I don't know what's going on here. I think Harvey Elliott would do very, very well at Spurs. I'll take him all day long. All day long. What I will say about it, Jay, I'm one of them that says he's been around that team. What I'm talking about there is the type of players he's been training with. Not he got him over the line and he's one of the main reasons. He has been training with serial winners his entire career at Liverpool. He has trained with the best of the best. He has had fantastic managers with him.
So is Longley.
Yeah, but I'm not talking about Longley. And Longley is. I think Harvey Elliott will go on to be a better midfielder than Clement Longley has ever been defender. Clement Longley.
No, but I would just say
that I've seen in a Spurs shirt.
Yeah, but what you were saying is you was happy about who he's trained with. Longley has trained with the best of the best.
Yeah, okay. But also, what I will say is when Harvey Elliott has played for Liverpool, he's had an impact. He's got an incredible shot on him. He's very, very. He's got a massive engine on him. He's very creative, tenacious in the tackle, puts everything in for the team. Homegrown. I think it'd be a success at Spurs. Do I think we can get better? Yes. Do I think if you said to me Morgan Gibbs-White or Harvey Elliott, I think you know where I'm going with this.
Harvey Elliott,
Alfie Devine. C. No, mate. Morgan Gibbs-White is the only one. I put him, like people know, I put him right up there with Eze. I've wanted Morgan Gibbs-White since his Wolves days, and he will be superb. Oh, sorry, no, it won't be superb. I think Harvey Elliott would do a very good job at Spurs. I think he's a very, very good midfielder. Like you said, right away he'd become a starter for Spurs. That's how bad our midfield currently is. The only ones that I really Bergvall and Maddison will do very, very well under Thomas Frank. Bentancur, we don't know if he's going to sign a contract. That whole contract nonsense has been going on way too long, and he's entering the final year. Bissouma, Sarr, I don't know what's going to happen with him, but I think he might need to move on. We need midfielders, so I'll take Harley.
For me, I'm going to shoot in a second, but for me, what I would do is I wouldn't sign someone like Harvey Elliott. I would go and sign Polinia and then use the likes of Bergvall, Bentancur, players along that line, because I think that Polinia is a bigger hole to fill than a Harvey Elliott is.
Yeah. No, Callum, what are your thoughts on Harvey Elliott as the replacement?
I'm kind of along Brian's lines. I think there's a very good player in there. Spurs have watched him for a while. He is seen as a longer term target if we were to move for him, sort of as a Madders replacement maybe later on down the line. I mean, it's such a difficult deal to do, and I would say that if we did have a chance, maybe if you'd say 45 million, you'd maybe move, but there are better out there. I don't think the sort of position, like James was saying as well, there is more pressing issues in the team. I think this is more of a luxury signing that they've seen an opportunity towards for it. But no, I think there's a good player in Elliott. I think he's done very well at the under-21 championships. He's done very well under Lee Carsley. They highly rate him in the England setup as well. I mean, I know he's had that past history with Spurs for them stupid tweets all them years ago, but I mean, he was a child, and I know a lot of Spurs fans.
Callum.
Yeah.
Maddison did it at Spurs with Gareth Bale.
Yeah, exactly.
I still think that he doesn't pass the dickhead quality. I really don't. I don't know. I just look at him and he just looks like, even the way in the final when he was sitting there giving his fingers up to the play, like, he just seems to me like a bad egg. He just seems like he'll be involved in shit that don't need to be involved in. And I know that sometimes we love that, like a Dele Alli type and etc. But I've said it so many times. I feel like he is a dickhead, whereas Dele Alli was my dickhead, and it's different.
We've had that with Asuma though for 2 fucking seasons. The geezer sits there smoking balloons on bloody Snapchat.
And we want rid. That's why I don't think. But especially, it's different if it was like a cheap deal. It's like 50 million for me. I'd be looking at. There's so many different midfielders out there that we could potentially be looking at. But James, I know you need to shoot, mate. So. I'll let you shoot off. Thank you again for coming on. Much appreciated.
Thanks for having me, mate. I've enjoyed it. It's great. I've got to be up at 5 a.m, so it's one of those. Yeah. So, but I appreciate it. Thanks for having me, mate.
Thanks for coming on. Definitely.
Take care, Brian.
See you later.
Take care, mate.
See you later, man.
So we will be wrapping up shortly. Been going for nearly an hour and a half now. So, but there are a couple more players that have recently been linked. Obviously, today's kind of the main links that come from today were Palhinha seems to have jumped a little bit further forward in front of the queue. Completely different contrasting stories. I've seen some saying it's a loan with a permanent. Others are saying it will be a £20 million bid, etc. A lot has been made at whether we need that style of player now. A lot of people say we need a defensive sort of midfielder, but is the destroyer type, Palhinha type, what we currently need, Brian?
He would make a big difference. I think it'd be great for the youngsters to be around the squad and learn off of. We need someone that can do. I like it. Like when we've done very, very well. We've had this ball winning hard man that goes in, gets the ball, and then passes it on to the creative ones. Your Wanyama's, your Dembele's, your Scott Parker's, your Sandro's. And he is very, very good at doing that. Brilliant defence cover, giving that protection to the defence. Hard in the tackle. His stats at Fulham showed it. I think a loan deal is a no-brainer. I think a loan deal is a great move for him. I really do. For a year, then we can see what we've got with the youngsters. We can see if we don't get a Wharton or a Belieber, for example, that have been heavily rumoured. It gives us a year to assess them. I think a loan move for him. And we say we need experience. He's a 30-year-old that's experienced to the hilt, both in Premier League, European leagues, and internationally for Portugal. I think it'll be an incredibly smart bit of business, but I think this one drags out till deadline day.
Yeah, Callum, what are your thoughts?
Personally, I agree with Brian what he's saying about the experience side. He does bring it. My reservations are over more towards that. He only got 700 minutes of playing time last year because of serious injury. If it's a loan, then I'd entertain it. But I'm more of the line that if we've dropped to him, then plan B, plan C, plan D, plan whatever has failed, sort of thing, if you get what I mean. And he's more of an agent offered player going around, because we've seen Douglas Luiz and Paulinho's names all ramped up out there when we've gone from Walton, Hackney, Mainu a couple of days ago. Obviously, we've got Gray already there. We've got Belieber from Brighton as well. The profile of player Spurs want, he doesn't fit that at all. He's completely the opposite of the age profile, what they're looking for as well. And I think Frank would probably want more of a deep line playmaker over a midfield destroyer type. That's my reservations from it. And from what I spoke to someone the other day, and they sort of shared the same views. And the club have tried for Walton all summer, and it's Palace keep moving the goalposts. Hayden Hackney, we can get for 23 million, but Middlesbrough want most of the money up front. belabour is a long-term target who Brighton want 60 to 70 million for. It's these fees that are all being touted about that are sort of stopping us. And everyone a couple of years ago wanted that Rodri mould, didn't they? The European CDM go for player. Now it's more turning towards a Declan Rice mould who can sort of play all the way through from 6 to 10 going forward with it, or pinging them balls, because we don't know what Frank wants ultimately. We've only seen him do it in one game, haven't we? And the first half was a midfield pivot of Bentancur sitting deep with Sarr playing off to the right and then Devine at the front, and then the second half was Basuma sitting deep with sort of Donnelly playing free roam, and then I think was it Bergvall that was they was playing like 2 10s. So we don't actually know how clearly what Frank wants. It's just we've been told that we've been crying out for a 6 CDM for so long that everyone puts 2 and 2 together and comes up with a list of transfer targets. Like we said, if we're playing FM, that's the problem that we've got. And I think the club are working actively on it, but if it was my own personal opinion, I'd rather have saved the money and not fuck about with a Paulinho deal, because he's going to have no resale value. So if we go and spend 30 million on him, he'll leave in 2 years for free. No one's going to come and buy him, sort of thing. So, and like what we said about Spurs, there'd be something that says to them that, right, we've spent 30 million now, so we won't spend 30 million again in 2 years' time. That's the thing. I think if you are going to get him, it's got to be a loan and not even an option. It's a stopgap until you can get an achievable target in January or next year.
I think it's a good option. I don't think it's a last resort. I think it's a good option in terms of if he comes in, I think he will be effective for all the reasons the chat have listed and you guys have spoke about. I think he'll be a very good player for Bergvall to learn from, that sort of stuff. However, I'm exactly of what you just said, Callum. I think we need a more of a ball playing midfielder, because Frank is going to be better defensively. He's also going to have 2 central midfielders, they'll both cover defensive positions as opposed to needing that absolute 6 destroyer. I think if we still have Ange, then Paulinho was almost the number 1 target for me. But in Frank's setup, I think he doesn't need that out and out defensive midfielder because he has a better defensive structure around him. So I would be targeting a little bit more ball playing players for sure. However, as I said, I think if Paulinho did come in, I think it would be a good signing. I think he'd be a good player. But for all the reasons that you've mentioned, as I said, that is a difficult one in terms of spending 30 million on a 30-year-old. Is it worth doing that? And then the same argument for Walton. Is it worth spending the whole budget on one central midfielder when we potentially need, we've said about potential wingers, left centre backs, left back, that sort of stuff. So it's a bit of a difficult one. A couple of things that did come up today, though. Conor Gallagher resurfaced again. We had a full summer, or maybe even 2 previously. Now apparently he suits perfectly Frank's style as well as Ange Postecoglou's. Is this going to be a Morgan Gibbs-White or a Conor Gallagher of old, where this just rumbles on for the rest of the transfer window, Brian?
I think it's nonsense. I think it's nonsense. But last season, I will say I don't like Conor Gallagher. I loved him at Crystal Palace. Loved it. I thought he was brilliant. But there's just something, I don't know what it is. Maybe it is the Chelsea roots. I didn't want him to come to Spurs. But what I will say is if he did come to Spurs, he ticks every single box of what we need. He really does. I don't like him that he could win me over. I think this is a non-starter personally. I think it's a complete non-starter. It's more hot air because we're so quiet at the moment. Let's just throw it out there. This is the other thing. I mean, you look at this, and you've seen it with Spurs play, like when we've taken Gallas and we've taken Adebayor. It's been they've left Arsenal and then had a couple, and then they've ended up at Spurs. Could this be the same with Gallagher? I don't think so. I genuinely think, like Stevie's just said, but I don't like the player. I don't know what it is, but I do think he would be a very good player at Spurs. He does offer things that we're missing and things that we're lacking. Mm-hmm. But again, give me Morgan Gibbs-White every single day of the week.
And Stevie, I completely agree. The only thing I would say is that most Spurs fans don't like Spurs most of the time. So, I mean,
Yeah, fucking look at Brian. Look above at Brian. Never.
Yeah.
the Morgan Gibbs-White situation is just a perfect example. We don't even like our club most of the time. What about Kobbie Mainoo, who's obviously been linked? 40 million apparently. The contract's kind of stalled, etc. Would you be a fan of bringing Mainoo in the door? And this isn't necessarily to say to replace Morgan Gibbs-White if we don't get him. I just mean as an option. Would Mainoo be a player that you'd be interested in bringing in, Callum?
I like Mainoo. I think there's a good player there. I think he's a rough diamond, and he sort of fits the experienced young profile that we'd look for. He's my only reservation is he reminds me a bit of how Dyer ended up, where he's a little bit too utility player, if you get what I mean. He doesn't know where he plays. He's been a 6, he's been an 8, he's been a 10. He's played I've seen him play as a right winger at times and as a left winger. I would say if you don't know your right position around about 2021, then you're going to be like a manager's utility player, and you're just going to be fitted in wherever they want you to go. If we could do a deal for 40 million, and I know the club have looked at it, it is an option if they can get it for 40 million, though. I think it would be a good deal. I think it would be a positive deal because it's taking a good professional player who's probably got nearly 70 Premier League games under their belt, something like that. He's at least got a lot more experience than a lot of other youngsters in the Prem. So no, I think there's a good player there, but if it means that, I don't think I'd do it to sacrifice other players. Like, I wouldn't sacrifice it to bring in a proper 6 or a deep light playmaker who we'd want. I wouldn't want him to take Bergval's place, and I don't think he's anywhere near as good as Gibbs-White or Maddison or Kulu to play a 10 either.
Brian?
I think Kobbie Mainoo has all the potential in the world. We saw what he did in the Euros. I think coming to Tottenham might be a very risky move. And again, we're paying on potential rather than Premier League. Yes, like he said, he's had, Callum said, he's had 70 games. I think there's still a lot more to come from him. And last season, he was non-existent. Yes, he had an injury or two, but he hardly played. I think he showed in the Euros what he can do. I think, apparently from what everyone on X is saying, is he wants 170 grand a week. They've offered him 120. Can you see him come to Spurs and being up at the 170 a week? There's just no chance unless there's an imminent takeover, and then we're to hell with our wage structure that we've had over recent years. But I think in about 4 or 5 years he's going to be an unbelievable player. But do Spurs have 4 or 5 years to wait to see that? I think it's a good player. I think it's a very good player potentially. But I think a move to Tottenham might do more damage to us than good.
Yeah, no, I completely get where you're coming from. I think he'd be a very good, it'd be a valued member of the squad, but he certainly is not Morgan Gibbs-White level for me. And then Callum, you're right in terms of we need to fix him into a position. So unless we've got an idea of exactly where he's going to play, I just think he'll be an option. We've got a few questions here, and then we will be kind of wrapping up, guys. These ones can be some quick fire ones, really. So Adrian's come in saying Conor Gallagher, Jacob Ramsey, are they better than Bergval?
No, wouldn't touch them. Wouldn't touch them, and I'd rather have Bergval.
Yeah, I mean, Bergval showed what he did last year, and that's just the beginning. I don't know how we can say is he better than Conor Gallagher or anything now, when Conor Gallagher's played Premier League football and La Liga football for about 5, 6, 7 years now. And has that under his belt, potentially, I think Bergval's a world superstar.
Yeah, completely agree. Quick one here: Douglas Luiz or Palhinha?
Neither. Wouldn't touch them. Overpriced on wages, both of them.
I do like Douglas Luiz. I
He
do
wants
like
like
Douglas Luiz.
250 grand a week.
Yeah, this is always the issue. I do like Douglas Luiz. I really, really do. So, as much as we were just talking about Polina, I'll take him. If Douglas Luiz was available, 100%.
Yep, agree. Honestly, James McAtee would be a great alternative if we can't get Morgan Gibbs-White. McAtee can play 10 and 8, plus he's proven cheaper cost. This is the one guy that I cannot believe Forest haven't gone after. He would be the perfect player to go in for Morgan Gibbs-White, I think. Maybe they have gone in for him, I don't know, but from what it seems to be that the German league are the ones that are their favourite to get him over the line. But I think he would be perfect. And actually, if Spurs don't get Morgan Gibbs-White, I think he is a good alternative. However, I don't think he comes in as the starter, so I think we'd need to then expand it and get other players through the door. But I think McAtee is actually, he would be the one I'd prefer over Harvey Elliott personally. I think McAtee has a better ceiling. I think you spoke about it, Brian, in terms of who he's played, Harvey Elliott.
True.
McAtee's just done exactly the same thing at a younger age. And also under 21s, I think McAtee was superb. I also think Harvey Elliott was as well. I just feel like when you play under Pep, I just feel like he could potentially be like a Cole Palmer type, where you just go, actually, this guy's just top level.
Just add on that, Luke, very, very quick. I don't know if people remember, I only remember seeing him in this game, maybe a couple of other. When Man City beat Bournemouth in the FA Cup and they're 1-0 down at half time, they brought on a player called O'Reilly.
Nico.
I think he's better than McAtee. That's the one. Obviously, McAtee looks like he's off. But that O'Reilly that they've got, and obviously they brought through Oscar Bob and Rico Lewis, they've got their youth academy is starting to kick in with them. But I really like that O'Reilly guy. Really liked him.
He covered in left back position a few times last year.
I think he's the one.
He's a very good player, and actually someone mentioned it recently about Oscar Bob, because he had missed so much football. Potential about him being on loan, mate. If you can get Oscar, I think Oscar Bob is going to explode over the next couple of years. He looks like an absolute top. So I would take both of them. I'm just going to go through a couple of the comments, and then the last thing, and I'll give you a couple of minutes just to think about this. Your number one target for us that we need to get by the end of the season, and Morgan Gibbs-White can be that player.
There you go. No time to think.
Can I just add on McAtee quickly, Luke? The only reason why I can't see him coming to us is because the whole point he wants to leave City is for first team football. He wants to be the first team man. If he comes to Spurs, if we just say we've still got Maddison, we've got Kulu in that 10 role, who both want to play there, and he'd still be third choice. That's the thing. So I don't think he'd ever come to us, to be honest, unfortunately.
Fair enough. Hopes and dreams are shattered. Callum, you're not invited no more. This guy, I'm not confessing that I've watched him
not happening
or anything like that, but I cannot understand why every single club in the world is not after this guy. From what I have seen, and I've watched all different bits and pieces, not just all of the positive stuff, he looks like he has absolutely everything. This Jashari, unbelievable.
Did you Danny Rose it? Did you Google him? Did you go through Google and sit through YouTube comps?
I did a bit. I didn't need to, because I was actually on stream with Sean Butler when he first mentioned him, and they pulled up a couple of the stats and things, and then I started to look into him and was like, yes, this is a player.
He's more likely to go to Italy at the moment. That's the links that are there at the moment.
AC Milan won it, but they can't stomp up 40 million. So, but honestly, he looks like he's got everything from 8 to 6 to 4, whatever position you want to look at. He can tackle, he can play, he can spray balls. He's literally perfect for Spurs in terms of he can do the defensive side. He's left-footed, so it means he will be that left centre midfielder, which I think that's where we're lacking that sort of 6. He literally ticks every single box. And if you haven't seen him, go and look on YouTube. I know every player looks unbelievable on YouTube, but go and check out some of these ball playing skills, and the passes from deep are unbelievable. But anyway, big up Peter. 8:13 in Melbourne. We're going worldwide, baby. We are all over the place. Everyone's
He came with me from Spurs diehards, mate. He came with me from Spurs diehards. So
this is what I'm saying. We're going universal, baby. It's brilliant. I mean, Walton. We're going to go down the Walton route. Come on, Callum. What's your update on Walton? I'll ask you again.
Still active talks, mate, at the moment. Palace, we've made 3 informal bids to Palace, and we're getting close to the price tag. But every time we get close to it, Palace want either more money up front, or they hike the price, or they say, right, well, you can have him for 70 million, but then you've got to pay another 15 in add-ons. It was first 70 million, then it became 75, then it went to 70 again, and we're getting closer, but it's a difficult deal. It is difficult, and Spurs are at least entertaining other options at the moment.
Okay, right. That's it, guys. We are going to wrap up. I am going to come to you guys and say, what is your number one target, Brian? I think you've already answered it.
Do you know what? I've come up with another one just because that's so obvious. I've come up with another one.
Number one target.
I'm going left field here, and I didn't even mean to drop it with left field because it is a left. Anthony Robinson from Fulham.
Anthony Robinson. Would he be your starting left back, or do you think it's just competition?
Do you know what? This is the thing. You got to remember, what we have to remember is we're playing in 4 competitions. We will be for a long time, hopefully. 3 because the FA Cup don't come into January, obviously.
Yeah.
But what we learned last season is we need to rotate and keep these players fit.
Mm-hmm.
What we learned is we need competition. I don't like it when a player knows that he can just walk in and not have to, not give 100% fit or 100% all the time because he knows, wait a minute, I'm the only real left back here. And I don't think it's fair on Spence to go, right, Spence, you're going to play right back when we need to rest Porro or he's suspended or whatever. And then if the same with left back, and then Spence is just going back and forth. Mm-hmm. So I would love to see Robinson. And if you get Robinson in, you look at what Poch did with Rose and Davies and Trippier and Walker. Those fullbacks, no matter who played, no matter what partnership, was just purring along. So I'd love it if we had another top draw left back to then complement the 2 at right back, and then they've just got serious competition. It's like, right, I need to stay on my game all the time because I want that shirt. So I'd love to say Anthony Robinson.
Yeah, I've been screaming to get Hato for weeks and weeks, and now he's all signed up for Chelsea. Moving on, then, Callum, we'll come to you. Your number one target. Who is it?
It was Hato or Simmons this week, but both of them are going to join the Chelsea maternity ward and daycare centre. So it's got to be Walton for me. Walton is my number one because it solves so many issues for us, mate.
Yeah, I completely agree. I do think he solves a lot of issues. My only caveat to the Walton situation is if he prevents us getting other players and we don't then get cover at centre back, left back, we don't get the wingers, then I think we could potentially be in a problem. But that could all come
we've got enough centre backs. We've got bloody
left centre back. No, I still think we're struggling at left centre back. We're playing a right-footed centre back. I don't think that's the best way to be, especially not in the Premier League. I think that's such a difficult thing. Unless you go and get a player like Mark
Denso weren't that bad, was he?
I don't think he's bad, but again, when you're talking Champions League now, we're talking about Real Madrid's and your City. We're going to be playing these level of opposition that I just feel like we need to make sure. And if Van der Ven gets injured, like he always does, we are then going to sit there and go, why didn't we go again left centre back when I've been saying and everyone's been saying that that's the kind of position. Ideally, we get 2.
We'll put Drogo in there. Drogo will have fun. We'll just play him across the whole back 4. He's just that fucking big. He can just play in every position and all that. They ain't got no chance.
He's the best centre-back in the world, mate. He's the best centre-back in the world. We're doing a new thing this week. What we're going to do at the end of the video in the YouTube comment section, we're asking everyone to put in their own questions. And then the best question will be asked to all of the panel next week. and it doesn't have to be football related. It can be whatever you like. It can be what their favorite food is. It can be anything random. The best question will go to the panel next week. So please pop your questions in the comment section below. And as always, we are on hang on, where's it gone? We're on the road to 2K now. We're over the 1K mark. We're looking now to push on to 2K. Links for the guests are all in the description box below. I've had them also going along in the chat as well. Please go and sub to Brian. I'm sure everybody knows Brian. Brian, the community of Tottenham Hotspur YouTube is royalty, and Callum is on X as well. Again, all of their links are below. So massive thank you to both of you for coming on. Both for second appearance, I believe. So thank you once again. Chat has been absolutely great. Constantly keeping up to date, being involved. It was brilliant. So thank you very much. And that's it from us. My Morgan Gibbs-White deal, we are told will get over the line. It's just that what week it gets over the line. And that second, here we go. It's going to hit different, baby. It's going to hit different.
Well, watch out for the Brian victory tour. The Brian Morgan Gibbs-White victory tour is going to be epic. It's going to be epic.
Going to be better than Europa League victory tour, ain't it?
Oh, no, mate. I'm honestly, I've decided whether to do a tweet every 15 minutes, once an hour. Do I get photos created? It's just going to be glorious. It's going to be glorious.
Oh, Adrian, bugger off. Go to bed. Go and put your slippers on.
I've got mine on. It's bedtime now. So once again, last thing from us. Come on, you Spurs.
Leave you out.